Good afternoon, almost evening, when it is winter, right? It gets dark fast. Welcome to another Bite-Size Branding Live here, presented from the team at Ucidity. As always, I would like to welcome Grant to the show. Grant, how you going today on this late Friday?
Hey Bernard, great to see you, great to hear you, and welcome everyone. Yeah, my name's Grant Tom. I'm the head fire starter, and I love everything to do with marketing, branding, advertising, and growing businesses in the digital space.
Well, dude, you came to the right show then. The show's going to be perfect for you. Awesome. So, guys, I'm going to introduce the show because it's over. So it's over on my end of the conversation. So we unbundle different subjects in that brand and marketing space in 5 minutes or less. Hence the clock. We take it very seriously because if we didn't have it, we'd just ramble on forever because we love it. We love what we do. We love the space. There's always something new and different happening. So there's always something to talk about and so much to talk about. So to keep us under control, we've got this little baby here. So we keep to that 5 minutes. We unbundle 3 different topics within the space and always try and bring something exciting and new to the table. So if you do follow us and if you chime into the conversations, please do share your insights on the things that we talk about and share your ideas. If there's things that you're thinking about and would love us to unbundle or research and unpack for you, then let us know. Send us a message or a comment in the box and we will put it into the next show. We do have some exciting shows coming up. We do have some guests lined up for the next couple of shows. So everything from sales to different marketing streams that we don't typically talk about necessarily. So we've got some specialists and some niche people that are going to come and join us on the next couple of shows. And we're looking to get a guest every single show. So if you're also interested in the space, even if you don't necessarily work in that, so we're going to get an accountant who has a large marketing arm to his business, is going to tell us what sets him apart from the other accountants in the industry. And part of that is his marketing mix. So if you do have an interesting approach to business and you'd like to share it, then reach out to us as well. And we'd love to have you on the show. Grant, anything else you want to intro before we get into it? Did I miss anything?
Let's get started because those subjects, I've got lots to share.
Great, awesome. So the first subject, we have a specialty show that's coming up in about a month's time about this subject matter. Everything we're going to cover about today is all going to be about traditional media and where does traditional media sit within the marketing sphere. One particular topic that interests Grant is the PR space and where does PR sit in the mix? Is it still effective? How is it best leveraged for a business? So on that PR, I'm going to hit the clock. You ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
I don't know which finger does which. Nope, I killed it. No, not today.
How long have we been doing?
Mate, in another couple of months, I'll get used to it. Awesome, mate. So share some thoughts on PR.
Take 2. Oh, we started.
Starting the clock. Get in.
PR. Okay. Are we talking PR?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's talk about PR. So basically, when is it the best time to use PR? Why do we refer to it as PR? And what is the intention of PR really at the end of the day? Now, PR is very traditionally old world technology in the sense of how it was delivered and mechanically implemented. Nothing has changed. It's all about providing content, subject matter, headlines, and things that are important within an organization to that of industries, platforms, people who have voice to communicate to audience or readers as to the benefit that organization has to bring. So what's important about PR is about the publicity that PR brings. That is very important because that mileage in readership as to the validation is where you pay the big bucks in order to make sure that the right people write about you.
Yeah, it's like it's authority and credibility, right? That's what you kind of take out of it. It really sets the tone for where you stand in the market and sets you apart from everyone else that's trying to run that race. Funnily enough, we had a conversation with one of our PR partners, Agenda C, earlier this week, And we were like, we're a bit stumped on how to take our business and leverage mainstream PR. And it's a tough conversation, especially for service-based businesses. Let's say you are an accounting firm. How do you get your accounting firm in those media streams? You know, it could be traditional media streams like newspaper or on the news for an interest piece, or it could be other channels like trending blogs or high traffic blogs or news websites that you want to get posted on or get represented by. It's tough. It's tough to get exposure, especially for those professional service businesses. Businesses that you'll often see in there are innovative products or new products to market. It's a lot easier, especially if you have the right relationships as a good PR firm, to bring those to light, because there are things that people genuinely want. Like, we're always looking for that next best product or that new innovation or that new idea or somebody doing it differently. It's hard to take a business that is doing something really well and get it into PR, right?
Well, that's exactly it, right? You know, the editors and people who are in charge of these platforms to create content and communication are constantly trying to be the adjudicator as to what is good and relevant content to that of just humdrum, same as everybody else content. And I think that is where it is a little bit difficult and a little bit tough, is to find that point of difference. But I think it comes back into the brand story. What is your brand story? What are you made up of? What is your meaning? What is your validation? Who are you there for and who are you benefiting? It starts to make very stories. And if you can create a niche and a recipe that you can keep on evolving and adding, then of course that makes it for good listenership or good readership to people's audiences who've got platforms.
Yeah, I think the other thing is, like, and it kind of was intertwined in what you were saying, is a good story, you know, a good background story. I remember this story got published around these four boys in Melbourne. They were in their apartment. They couldn't figure out how to split the bills in the apartment, and then they invented the app. I think they invented the app Splitwise, actually, which is a very popular app now. But that's how it all came about. It was just four guys in their apartment, couldn't figure out how to split the bills, and that's where it came from. It was a cool story that also created a cool outcome, a cool app. So there is a way to look at what you do and the system or your methodology behind it. And what's the story that actually sits behind it? What is it that makes this so impactful for yourself, that has changed your life, for other people that's changing their life, that you can then bring or create a story out of that will grab people's attention, grab them either from an emotional or from an ego or from, you know, what is it that's going to grip their attention? And that's the challenge. The challenge is creating that piece that really just gets people to go, wow, you know, or tug at their heartstrings.
You got to be careful. It's not about, it could be interesting for you, but it's got to be interesting for the receiver. You know,
that's the hardest bit. Yeah. Yeah. I think we all get caught up in our own stories. We're like, my story is amazing. Like, look at all the things that I've done. And they're just like, oh, that was awesome.
that was good.
I think essentially we're both saying there's still a big piece to creating that credibility piece for a business that PR delivers.
Correct. And I think, like in my opening line when I said that PR is old technology, it's not old, it's traditional. But at the same time, by being traditional and its methodology doesn't mean it's gone away. It's just that the platforms of communication have changed. But you still need people to have relationships with these people, with you to be able to supply content and give meaning to organizations and stories, with the view that the people who receive it get validation, with the view to be inspired and edutain. There's that word again, edutain. Okay, got to bring it in. Okay, in order to understand what it is and what we do as to how we are as an organization that brings meaning to the people we serve.
And I think the big thing about it as well is it's quintessential that you talk to an agency. They have relationships. They have, they know the channels. They know which channels will be most effective for your content. You can guess and try and knock on $1 million and get it out there. If you have the time and capacity, go for it. But that's what these agencies do day in, day out. And they build relationships with people and they know the kind of stories that those people like to read and publish. And that's going to give you a leg up. It's going to give you a massive leg up to actually get in there. So it might seem expensive when you're dabbling, but just look at the amount of time and effort it will take for you to not get published, because that's what highly likely will happen, you know? So So I think it's an amazing space. We're definitely intrigued and want to get into it. We definitely want to check out what the potential and possibility is. So we're right out there. So and I implore others who are interested in getting that kind of that authority in a space to look at that as a medium, you know.
Not to overlook it. It's a valuable strategy to have in your armor when it comes to getting your message out there.
Definitely. Now let's not keep rambling on. That's what the timer was for, and we just broke all the rules in that one. The next subject we're going to talk about is TV and radio. TV and radio, I think, have evolved, and their position and space and market has really changed over the years. Let's unbundle a little bit more around where we feel like TV and radio sit in the grand scheme of things. And I'm actually going to start this one off once I click this timer. If I don't, yes, I did it. Win. My training has come back. Look, this is the first thing I want to kind of put on the table to kind of open up the conversation is what disruption has happened for TV. Unlike TV has ever had to experience since its incursion into the world. Most recently, the disruption has been incredible. Netflix everyone was kind of like, oh, Netflix, kind of sitting in the background. Then Disney Plus comes, now Binge and Fetch and all that, and you got a multitude of these streaming services, all competing for eyeballs, all competing for content, and none of them are running ads.
Well, they're not running ads, but that's what you pay for, is that you're not running ads, and therefore it's the push and the pull media. So basically, TV is pushing content onto you.
Yes.
These other services, you're pulling the media. You choose what you want to watch. But here's a couple of problems. Number one, I find when you communicate with people that they are not experiencing what's going on the ground because they're so busy pulling content that interests them that they're missing the real world.
100%. Yeah.
Okay? They're getting locked into the second life, into this imaginary life of storytelling, but it doesn't tell you what's going on in the real world. So sometimes advertising is trending. Advertising is call to action. Advertising is relevant. Advertising is about getting the value now. So that's what makes perceived value harder to get that communication across, because people are being disrupted by other forms of entertainment.
Look, and I think what's interesting with that, quite a few years ago, one of the agencies I worked with did quite a bit of work with Channel 7. And Channel 7 was essentially saying, other than Home and Away, they had scrapped almost any other TV show that they were going to be playing and were going for only reality and sports. Because those are two things that in the moment are the only time you can capture them in the moment, running a TV show, it runs the risk of being played or being repeated on any one of these other channels, media channels, and that disrupts your potential advertising spend or advertising investment within those times. So they capitalize, and if you look at their TV show run, essentially all they do is, other than Home and Away, is just reality and sports, reality and sports, reality and sports, and news, obviously. And those are kind of spaces that you wouldn't really get disrupted by a streaming service. There's no way that I'm going to sit down and watch like 8 hours of Big Brother or something like that. I'll watch 8 hours of Bridgerton or something like that, or Lucifer. But I'm not going to sit down and watch 8 hours of bloody you watch it when you see it, and then if it passes you by, somebody else will catch you up, and you just keep going. And I think by capitalizing on that kind of like instant gratification of these shows, they've been able to capture that market interest and retain it. I wonder though if it's going to continue in this methodology, or is it just better that Channel 7 makes its own streaming service and allows you to access whatever content you want whenever you want, and same for 9 and 10 and ABC, etc. Is that the model?
So let me explain something to you in the sense that I was chatting to a gentleman that runs a media company, and runs it in all 3 states in Australia. And he was telling me that traditional media, being television advertising, still far outsells in the sense of buying adverts in traditional space to that of alternative space being digital platforms. So there's still the biggest bulk of the spend at the moment going forward. But here's the catch. Number one is that TV stations are not doing themselves any justice whatsoever. Because they're putting a multitude of advertising in because they need the revenue to go through. They're doing the advertising in the sense of getting people to buy these big bundles, so there's lots of adverts. So every time you go have a show and you take an interruption, you're up to 7.5 minutes before you can see the next episode or the next. So therefore, you go away, and when you go away, they turn up the volume of the ads. Have you ever noticed?
I know. It's so frustrating.
Because you've gone further away from the TV. So once again, I don't think TV stations are doing themselves much justice.
Any justice, no.
Having said that, they're still in the pound seats. But for how long? This space will change.
I think that's the real question. How long is it going to keep going for? How long can they keep, padding up this space to make people get and invest? And I'd love to see what the numbers are like. I don't know if the investment really matches if the investment matches the return. Because it's still a huge barrier to entry, and that's why people are so willing to spend on YouTube and this and that, because it's nothing. It's pennies here, pennies there, and you get that exposure. So
you must understand, YouTube is very targeted. You have to really know who your target audience is. If you're a national campaign, then YouTube is not going to work for you. But if you're a TV station, 9 times out of 10 it does. But I think where it comes down to, and this is a show all of its own, creativity. I think if you're not being your advertising, you're not capturing people's imagination. Therefore, they are walking away to have a cup of tea.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the truth, because people like Doritos who do their Super Bowl ad, they just put all their money into one ad. Even Tourism Australia runs so many awards for that ad that they ran on the Super Bowl, because it was random to see an ad about Australia. But they also got Hemsworth in it. They got all these famous Australian actors to play out this Crocodile Dundee, and it's so memorable. It's unforgettable.
Getting as much bang for your buck as you possibly can.
100%. Look, we didn't really get onto radio. That's how much time we chewed up just on TV. But I wanted to say one thing. I saw the other day that now Kyle and Jackie O make $59 million a year to do their show. So if you don't think there's clearly a return on that investment for the radio station. So if you don't see that there's potential in radio, you're probably missing out on something. And I think it's that whole set and forget. You sit in your car, you turn it on, and you just roll. You don't want to have to think about what song am I playing this morning on my way to work. I just want to zone out. I
want to say two things, and I know we're running way over time here, but two things. One, that radio has always been the number one return of investment platform I've ever invested in. If I've always want to get bang for my buck, go onto radio. 100%.
Very cool.
Radio is the only medium platform that can tweak and change according to the trends. No other platform can really tweak and change that much. They're very confined to what they can do. But radio can be so effective in the way that they can change. So if you look at, for example, the morning presenters, they are able to skill their tone and their communication as to the trend in order to stay relevant, where other people say, on this. So therefore, radio is a phenomenal platform that can't run out, and it's about holding a listen. We just talk for an hour on our subject matter, but they talk on all kinds of subject matter, and you've got to come to work friendly and happy. That's hard.
Yeah, I think it's phenomenal, and we're such audible beings. Hearing things, we're so responsive to that, the beat, the vibration, and I think by weaving in these news stories, ads, etc., it just becomes nature that we're just listening to all this sound, Okay, last subject. We've got to wrap this baby up. Our last subject is going to be about direct mail. Is there still a space for direct mail? Stuff dropping in your mailbox. I'm going to start this one. I'm pretty excited about it. Let me hit this little baby right there. Okay, cool. Kicking it off. I'm going to say there is tons of space in mail because your mailbox is practically empty these days. I go to my mailbox so often and there's nothing in there. I check it every couple of days. I'm oh, there's nothing here. Oh, there's nothing here. What I would challenge people to do, and it's something that we're pitching this campaign to quite a few people and partners within our space, we know have run quite a few of these campaigns and have always seen massive results from them, is a lumpy mail campaign. So lumpy mail is essentially something 3D, comes in a package and you drop it into somebody's mailbox. Works great for getting past the doorkeeper at a company. So I love the idea of lumpy mail. Find something that's going to be relevant to the space, that's going to be usable, not wasteful. Obviously, we don't want people throwing away a whole heap of plastic crap because you sent it to them in the mail. Be cognizant of what you're sending. Create something interesting. Create something relevant to the person you're sending to. And I think it captures people's attention. The one time it's happened recently, we got a VA, and the company that we got the VA through gave us a pack, and it was like a box with like notepads and pens inside and 2 keep cups. And I was like, this is phenomenal. Like, I've still got them at home. I use them all the time. I'm like, this is so great. They're useful. They're also just, they were nice designs. They were quality, like they were nice quality products. It maybe cost him $20 to put the whole pack together. Like, you'll make that profit back tenfold. We've already upgraded our services with him. So like, it's so valuable to just receive something that's tangible, not wasteful, but tangible, you know?
This, I can give you 2 guarantees in life. One is you're going to die.
Oh shit, I got morbid.
It's a guarantee. Okay. Number 2, if I gave you a box and it had a little something jiggle inside, you will open that box.
Open it. Yeah, that's guaranteed.
Okay. And therefore, if you want to be effective, it comes down to the 3rd. You have to now be creative. If you just send something in a brown, boring envelope, it's not going to do justice. You've got to go and be creative. It's got to have an interesting message. It's got to have an interesting call to action. You're going to have an interesting goodie inside. You're going to have an interesting instruction. And you've got to create a reward somewhere, because if I work all this hard and I don't get the reward and it's just a nice to have but not a need to have, I'm going to forget you as quickly as I open that envelope.
Yeah. And the issue with envelopes is that they usually get opened by the gatekeeper. Packages get through to the addressee.
Boxes.
Yeah, boxes get through. Boxes get through. You've got to do a box. What I love about, so I'll tell you one campaign, which I love this campaign. Somebody in our network, and Nikhil Rajani did this campaign for an IT company. And they took a bunch of old computers and they smashed up the motherboards, and they sent a piece of the motherboard in the mail and said, and the call to action was, is your IT broken?
Yeah.
Is the IT in your business broken?
They took a whole lot of arms and legs of dolls, and they said, I'll give you an arm and a leg to have a meeting with you.
I remember this brander. I love it because he actually gave me a pair of these. So he branded these socks, and they're like phenomenal. They're like yellow and orange and blue, and I just love these socks. And he would send one sock, and the message was, I'd love to pair these guys up. You know?
Yes.
Let's pair up. Yeah. It's great.
So,
I love it.
It's not about it's about being original. It's about being topical. And through this, you run your PR campaign. Through this, you run your digital campaign. Through this, you run your inquiry, so that you get people to connect the dots as to who's doing this campaign. But you know, you've got to do it very targeted. What I love about direct mail is that you can send out 10 packages, you can send out 100 packages. The secret to direct mail is simple. It doesn't matter how many you send out, you need to follow up within 24 hours. If you follow up 72 hours, you've wasted your time and your money. You've got to make sure I drop it today. Within 12 to 24 hours, I've got to make it. I've got to do the next drop or a call or a touch point. I've got to do something to create that connectivity, because 72 hours, people says, you gave me a box. I can't remember what it was.
You know, that really ties into what I was thinking as well, which is it creates brand recognition unlike anything else. When you're trying to do business to business, service to service, chances are the guy that you're trying to get business from or do business with has no idea who you are. You want to create great brand recognition, give them something that they're going to keep, they're going to put on their desk forever, you know? Then follow them up with that call. And I guarantee the next time one of your EDMs hit his table, his chances are more than 50% more likely to him opening it up, because he now knows your brand. You're not just, nobody cares about me. You're not just another random brand trying to hit them up in their mailbox, spam their mailbox. Now they know you. There's a touch point there. And that is, you know, money can't buy that recognition, you know. Well, actually it can if you invest it correctly. But
but I think Australian Post have done a phenomenal job in delivering a fantastic service. They've stepped up their game. They've made it more personalized. They can deliver the very next day. That is a phenomenal service to have. And the fact that it is reliable, it's honorable, trackable, it's deliverable, therefore implementable.
Yeah, 100%. I guess I would say it's probably unique to Australia and Australia Post. I don't think there's any delivery service around the world that you could really be like, oh, I can trust in the main postage service. I don't think people give them enough props for what they do. It's not an easy job, but the systems that they've built around what they do is phenomenal, and good on them for really stepping up. They really stepped it up. So,
and I think that, like you said, postbox are empty. It's becoming a forgotten medium.
Yeah.
I think it's a huge opportunity to capture and evolve. It's just that at the end of the day, it's not about putting expensive items in the lumpy mail. It's put creative items in the lumpy mail.
Yeah.
People remember creativity if you add value to their lives.
100%. And on that note, this was a great show. Quick, sort of quick. We kind of went maybe a little bit over time on a couple of those. But nobody's here to judge us, right?
I want to say one thing, is that if you look at what we spoke about in the sense of PR, what we spoke about traditional media, what we spoke about lumpy mail, at the end of the day, it comes back to creativity in the sense of creative message, creative communication, creating themes, and creating some form of identity that you can associate with that gives you the recipe to keep on evolving your story, your brand story. And that's how brands are built.
Mate, great wrap up of the show. On that note, guys, thank you very much for joining us once again on this Friday. Please tune in for the shows that we have coming up in the near future. We're going to have a bunch of guests. We're going to try and get a guest for every show. That's the plan, Grant. Until the end of the year, a guest on every show. Let's do it.
We're done.
Done. So, guys, we're excited to have you on the next show. As always, please share your comments, follow, like the content, and do let us know if there's anything, especially if it's controversial. If you hate some new branding that just came out and you want us to unbundle it a little bit, send on your information, send over your ideas, and we'll unbundle them on a show.
Grant, marketing sucks. Let us know.
Tell us, does it suck? Awesome, guys. Thank you very much for. Actually, you know what, Grant? I met somebody today who works with not Danos Direct, but another one of those online direct showing. He works with them, rolling out their digital marketing, their new digital marketing positioning. Maybe I'll get him on the show. That'll be pretty interesting.
Done. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'll hit him up. Awesome, guys. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, Grant. Have a great weekend, and everybody else too. And we'll catch you at the next show. Have a good one.